Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here from iNVision Prototypes, bringing you another episode on the M40C build. Today we're going to be working on capping off the end of the door panels, the rear interior panels, and the end of the dash here where we have two holes. There's a lower one where a factory cover plate clips in, and then we have this opening here where we formed the new dash top. We have to blank that off, so we're going to get that installed. Now there's a 3D printed piece here that we created, and that covers up the old vent that used to be there, so that's going to get mounted right in there, just like that. So we're going to start on the passenger side first because that's where all my tools are. This is what we have to work with over here. This is going to be blanked off in this area. We still have to finalize the seal for the window at the end here, but we'll finish the door first, then we'll get into that. And we have this area right up in here. We have to blank that off. So we're going to start with that first. Got some cardboard templates created. We have the beginnings of a piece that's going to go clip in. Let's see here now. It's got to hold your tongue straight. It's got to slide down inside. Hard to do with one hand. There we go. Now you see that there? We have a big space. This is going to be taken and rolled over to join up with a piece we have to create from here. And luckily, we saved some material from the tops of the doors over there. Just a remnant. We're going to take strips of this and install it up in here. First thing I'm going to do is take and roll that over kind of 90 degrees with a soft kind of radius. We don't want a sharp edge here. And then we'll measure up a strip and cut it off of this and get that installed. You see, that used to extend past just like that. I'm not sure if this is this door or the other door, but it doesn't matter. It's close enough. We can kind of adjust the radius as we need to. And these screws here, they actually go into that little step flange down below, and they will be replaced with a series of non-socket flathead, I think 1032 bolts with a nut on the backside, aircraft nut, and then we'll put that chrome trim across the top of the door there, separating the two pieces. All right, so let's grab this piece here and go form this up. We're going to use this dolly here. This is something I created 25, probably 30 years ago now. It's the very first dolly I created when I started in metal shaping. This is what I used to create the rear taillight buckets for R1. Just a simple die here, bit of a concave there, nice soft radius, and that's the radius I want to use to roll this edge over. I could create a hammer form, but for two pieces, I can do it just as quick with a hammer and dolly. And we just start rolling it. Very gently just trying to roll it. Now because we have a curve here, it's going to kind of create a bit of a dish there. So we're going to have to shrink that edge as we're hammering it. Kind of using that radius this way to work into the radius around this. It's almost there. I just need to find a way of radiusing that little corner. If you peen this edge too hard, it'll actually stretch it, causing a dish this way. So you don't want to peen it, you just want to roll it over. And there we have a very nice soft radius. Okay, so it's going to slide right in here. See, two hands, pops right in. And that matches the curvature of this panel. Actually, I'm going to take in, this radius here is a little bit softer than what we have here. I want this to transition a little better, so I'm going to go back to the die and kind of roll that over just a bit more. Bingo. That fits very well. Now there's a little tail here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of holding me up, so we'll just I'm going to put a screw there. I don't think I'll put a screw there, it's not necessary. What I should do though, see the step here? We took and eliminated the step by putting a reveal in this panel here. We're going to create a step. Okay, let's open this up a little bit. Like that. Now, I'm going to use that sharp point there and drive it past the edge of this dolly, thereby creating a step. See, moving down. This side is a little more tricky because we have material here. Good. Now it looks pretty bad, right? All of it moving material around somewhere else. We haven't really eliminated it, we just mashed it into itself in this area. All I have to do is straighten that leg out and we're good to go. I'm just stretching that corner just a bit more. Let's go fit this. There we go, nice and flush. And what I'm going to do is use this as a guide and just tap that into place. Very carefully because I don't want to bend the plastic. Just use the edge of that 16 gauge as basically a dolly to roll that over. So, right on. Let's get a screw in there. And then later, replace it with a rivet. Not hitting the plastic, the sheet metal. Very good. Just checking the alignment of our feature with this. And I think it's a little bit high, so we're going to go back and readjust it. See that? Nice and smooth. So no catches, and that'll be kind of smooth out with a bit of filler. These molds here, so that when we create the other part, the female part, we can then take and make the final part from that without any seams or any problems. Now for this strip, to cut the strip off, if we use a pair of snips to cut it, it could distort the shape of the panel because it is quite narrow. If we use electric shear, same thing, we could distort this. So I get the zip blade out, just make a nice clean cut all the way through. Then we take this piece and slide it right into that slot, and it should fit, fingers crossed. Slide it right into there. Just checking to see the fitment between the two pieces. And put it off there. Make a bit of a reveal there, drop it in behind, and call it a day. Not quite. Okay, weld it. Trusty duckbill is out, and give this a little step. Bend it down one way, and then take and return the bend. Create a little Z or S or whatever you want to call that. Let us get the welding machine out. I have to climb in from that side because I can't really see what I'm doing here. I'll take this off and line things up, and we'll get this tacked in place. Okay, I'm just going to put a rivet in place of that screw there. And wrap this panel up. Now you might be looking at it and say, hey, you've only tacked that panel in place. And that's right. Just countersunk it a little bit so that the head of the rivet doesn't stick up. Yes, I've only tacked the panels in place. Come on. The hole's a little bit small. Darn. Okay, let's get a drill bit. I want the rivet to be tight when it pulls in, like that. And that's all the effort that we're putting into these side rear pieces. So once I finish up this back of the door edge here and make sure it matches with this panel, I'll jump onto the other side, get that side caught up, and then we'll mix up some Bondo. Yeah, Bondo. And we're gonna kind of smooth out this panel as well as the bottom edge of the door. Where we transitioned and made our joints, I want to smooth that out a bit. Up here, we won't need any Bondo. It's going to be metal finished. It'll be wrapped in leather and it'll look nice. Okay, let's see how close we are. It's not bad actually. Wow, I'm liking that a lot. The height is good. The seam is good. This panel is in a little bit, so it has to be brought out just a bit. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. I want to see. Yeah, we're going to have to take and bring up this feature all the way up so we have a nice consistent gap coming up. Both doors are identical. So all the templates, all the pieces I make for one side, just carry over to the other side. Wonderful. I just finished bending this leg over to give it some rigidity. When we're handling this panel, this will actually help in keeping this edge straight. Now we can go ahead and bend this over to create that soft radius, and then we'll put that strip in and get this side wrapped up. Once you grab a piece of sheet metal and you start working it, just keep watching what's happening and make corrections as you go along the way. All about mileage. The more you work with it, the better you'll get at it. The biggest thing is just paying attention to what's happening. So I mentioned earlier, I'm going to wait until I get this all wrapped up, and then we can take and finalize the end of the door for the seal for the window. Because when I put this in place, you'll see what I'm talking about. See this big gap here? Can't have that. This is all structural material. But I'm going to add a secondary piece in through here just to kind of close that space in, because that doesn't look too good. And then we'll go ahead and grind and clean all that up. Biggest thing right now is to make sure this tail here, I left it long for now just to hold it, help me hold this panel, because there's no way to clamp this. Take and nip that off, and this piece will go all the way through and finish off at the door there. I can put a little vice grip there, but you see how it just jumps out? See, that's nice there. I'm going to get a dolly in here and kind of flatten this out where the screw used to be, because it's kind of been pushed out. We have to add a piece in here. Unfortunately, it's a small sliver, but it has to be done. Okay, that is coming in very well right there. There's going to be a window, a wipe installed in this area for the glass to run on. You have to make sure that the quarter window matches with the door glass. Yeah, if only I had a tape measure, which is all the way down there. Can you guys pass me that tape measure, please? Thank you. If you noticed, by leaving this tail, center, uncut, the panel or this little strip didn't move around on me and alter the thickness, because it could rub against the wheel and kind of thin out a little bit. I left that until the very end, cut it, and it kept its shape for me. I'm going to get this strip in first, line everything up, because I know it's consistent with this, and then we'll take and fit this by grinding or altering this edge to the strip so that it fits well. After we rolled this material over here a little bit, there's a bit of thickness there. Let's interfere. Marks. One up here. Fun. We'll line up the joint there. We got these pieces tacked in place. Close the door and see how it fits. Right there. Not too bad. You have to remember that this is going to have leather added to it along with this piece. So that's going to close that gap in even tighter. So we can't get too tight with this. If this would stay here, that'd be nice. Might get a little vice grip on there. Where do you go? Because that makes a big difference, pushing it in and out like that. At least I think it does from this side. Okay, a little clampy here. There. That looks good in there. Let's see how this looks. I like that. Oh, yeah, I clamped it. It squeezed it down. That has to be brought, the door panel has to be brought up a little bit. At the top there. Ah, much better. Nice consistent gap all the way up. A little bit tight at the bottom. That has to be adjusted because the rear wall that's kind of kicking that panel upward, not a problem. We'll do that afterwards. My main concern is that vertical, and that looks spot on. All right, now decision is to take the door panel off, finish that, or while it's still on there, we go ahead and finish the end of the dash. I think we finish the end of the dash. Okay, so we've got our 3D printed piece. Just going to insert that. Just got to get a reference. It's not going to stay there. Basically, all we do is extend this line up to meet with that. This little hole here, that's going to be covered up by the A-post cover. And we just need to get a piece to slide in and trace the dash in this diagonal here. See how that gives me a mark exactly where the dash is. I'm not wandering because I can't get the Sharpie in there. I'm not wandering one way or another as to where that's going to end up. Now I can take, it doesn't work too well on plastic. Kind of like that. And the horizontal in there. And that's fine in there. Let's describe that. Might look a little bit chaotic to you, you know, line there, and then kind of a tap thing there, but it'll shape up in a second. This is the only part I'm guessing at, is that diagonal. So we're going to add a little bit of material. Okay. And we'll add a bit to the front of that. Like so. There we go. Stays there on its own. So this will all get finished up in through here. I have to take the doors off, run that in. It's structural material that connects the roof to the A-post pillars. So we'll get that done once the doors are off. But for now, I just want to get these end pieces done. I want to take and put a few little tacks on the end of that just to hold it in place, and we'll do the final welding outside the car. That's it. That's going to be the end of the dash. Not a complicated piece, but that's going to finish that off. And that dark hole you see there, that is for the molding. That's going to run all the way up through there and close all that in. Okay, we're going to take this door panel off, weld this up, finish it, metal finish it, smooth it out, and then put the door panel back on. I was going to say on, but you know what? We should finish this front edge of the door. Tell you what, once I finish that, get this smoothed out, get the door panel on, I'll bring you guys in, and then we can check things out, see how things are aligning from front to back, and then we'll get into some Bondo. Okay, got the door panel mounted back on the door. The ends are finished up here at the back, as well as the front. Turned out very well. That structural area right up in there needs to be finished yet, but like I mentioned, that'll be done once these panels are off and out of the way. It's crucial to get all this aligned here. Now we can fill in that space and take care of all that. So let's close this door and see how it looks. You see the skin hasn't been hemmed all the way yet, because we need to take these off to test the power windows one more time when the glass comes in. And here we have the door closed, and you can see the gap. Just enough space for the leather to wrap around both panels and close that gap in just enough. You see the feature lines up really well from front to back. I have a vice grip up there just to make sure that everything aligns. We don't have the fasteners in yet. So that space up front, the molding will come down and close that off. But it turned out very well. So next stage is to get a little bit of filler and smooth out this mold here, this panel that reaches all the way back into there. We're going to pull a part off of that one, both sides of course. And the door, well, once the filler is done on that, that's it. This lower section, we're going to sand that out and then upholster it. This upper section doesn't need any filler because that joint came out really well. Really smooth. With those interior panels capped off on the ends, you can now go ahead and apply a bit of Bondo or body filler. It's not ready yet. We have to add one more ingredient. Hardener. Now before you go applying hardener, you should get yourself a scale and check the temperature, dew point, humidex, wind, make sure the wind's blowing in the right direction. Calculate how much hardener you need based on the amount of filler you have on your board. Apply it to your filler, stir it up well, and then you can go ahead and apply it to your body panel. Or do it the old hot rod way, based on the amount of filler you have, kind of warm in the air. Apply nice, after you kind of knead the hardener, nice strip of Bondo, or hardener, down the length of your Bondo. Take your spreader and fold it in. You don't want to create any air bubbles. Nice and slow. Just get it well incorporated. It's been a long day and I wasn't going to do this today, but why not? Now we're going to have to run over the car because I have to reposition the cameras with the hardener in the body filler. There we go. Nicely incorporated, nice consistent color with no air bubbles. That's what you want. Alright guys, so I've prepared the surface with some 40 grit. You can grind it. Basically your filler depends on a physical adhesion to your metal. So we prepared it, degreased it, washed it, all that stuff. And I'm going to kind of hurry up here and get this on because it's going to cure pretty quick. It's pretty humid out. It doesn't dry, it cures. So you want to apply it in a nice, consistent, smooth manner. Earlier on I checked for low spots and I basically applied it within a low cavity. And you don't want to put too much of this stuff on your panel. You know, an inch, inch and a half, that's really pushing it. And we've seen it. People have spray foam wheel arches, bonded over top of them, and just, you know, that's not the way you want to do a repair. This is just a surface enhancer. 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, that's all you need. It's kind of hard to talk and spread this stuff out. But we'll get it on. See that? This stuff's flying. I've got about 1/8 of an inch on at the most. All I want to do is fill in any little imperfections in the resin coat. I didn't use a gel coat, so that's one of the issues. Like I said, you don't want air bubbles, so you want a nice, consistent approach approach to spreading this on. Now, there comes a point in time in a man's life when it starts to, the Bondo or the body filler starts to cure. And I think we're reaching that point right now. So it's not going to be long before we have to stop. Otherwise, we're going to have some serious issues. If you can't take care of everything right away, that's fine. It's kind of awkward right now. There we go. Try to get rid of any little tails or high spots, because otherwise you're just going to have to cut that down. You can use a cheese grater for that, but you're technically wasting it. Just apply what you need, mix up however much you need, and don't go crazy with it. Now, I've gone back a little bit further than I needed to so we can feather out the filler. See, we're getting to a point now where it's getting stiff. Stiff peaks. And you don't want to overbeat it or over move it, if you will. Yeah. And most of the time, if you do it right, 2/3 or 3/4 of what you put on ends up on the floor. Because you're just taking care of all the highs and lows. That's it. So I can't really move it much more. Clean off the spreader. If it's too stiff, it won't stick. It just kind of like pulls at the surface. If you ever work with it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's it. First panel kind of roughed in. Now we're gonna let this cure. And I'll get another board after and mix up another batch or a couple batches. Get that side done, get this door panel done, as well as the door behind you. And that's gonna be it. So after this cures, we'll go through, and if you tune in next time, I'll show you a way we can cut this down really easily while maintaining the proper shape of the panel. You don't want to, well, I'll talk about it in the next episode. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot, guys. Please like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because we have a lot more cool videos coming up. Take care, guys.